If you're looking to do a detox here in 2025 of the things that just do not serve you anymore that you've carried throughout the year of 2024, then welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. In this episode, Coach Amanda and I are going to get intimate and vulnerable of the things that we are shedding our skin of, from mindset to exercise trends to nutrition trends and so much more. So if you're ready, listen up and lean in as we elevate your mind.
Hi.
Happy New Year day. New Year's. This is the New Year's. Yeah,
Eve.
Happy New Year's, everyone.
Yes.
It's New Year's Eve when we're recording this, but I hope that everyone had a safe and happy New Year's Eve celebration. I also hope that I am celebrating an Arizona State victory in the Peach Bowl because this will post on Saturday. Yay,
Are you going
Devils.
out tonight or doing anything?
So because my little baby Harlem's we're still deciding if she likes being left alone without her sister.
Yeah.
We're going to go to dinner and then we're just going to come home because
dinner?
My ghetto ass neighbors like to set off fucking fireworks all the time.
I was going to say, probably not because of the fireworks.
Yeah. They're so annoying. They do it now. They do it every night. Fireworks I love fireworks. I love a good fireworks display, but they're not that cool. Like, you don't need to set them off every night. Like, why are you a child? I can't.
I know. There's someone in our neighborhood setting off fireworks, and they have been for like last month. And so on next door, they're like, please call the cops, whoever's doing this.
Yeah. I want to go like find the person, and then every time they put something out, like throw water on their fireworks. For those of you who are new to this podcast, we're going to just banter and talk about our lives, talk about our own personal experiences, whatever's going on in our lives. So if you'd like to skip that, check the show notes below for the timestamps of when we start the conversation around what we're shedding in 2024. Also, if you like this podcast, please subscribe, rate, review, and make sure those notifications are on so you do not skip an episode. So we're going to go to dinner to somewhere called Pizzeria Virtue. I've never been.
Pizzeria Virtue?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Our friends, we actually got invited to a lot of different parties and things. And I was just like, I don't know, because we're having people over tomorrow morning at like 10:45. So I still have to grocery shop. I already have my grocery list. Need to pick up some balloons. I'm going to prep a lot of the things so that tomorrow's a little bit easier than it was last time. Because again, and for those of you who don't know, when I throw a party, I throw a party.
And there's always a theme to the party too.
Yeah. Well, the ASU party, this theme is onesie. It's like I'm calling it like a onesie brunch because some people don't care about the game. And, it's the day after New Year's Eve party celebration. So nice little hangover brunch for people because I know my friend group and they'll probably be hungover. So we're going to do breakfast burritos. I'm going to set up a breakfast sandwich station. I have, a yogurt board. So a parfait board. I have a waffle board. I have a regular charcuterie board. Mini avocado toasts. These donut fruit skewers. My mom's making 2 enchilada casseroles, one green, one red.
Nice.
And I'll probably put like chips with that. And then if someone wants like eggs, I guess we could make some.
They can fuck off.
Eggs.
No.
Well, there's going to be eggs in one station, but like, I was thinking you could use the enchilada casseroles as like a chile. So you put the chips down, the casserole, then the eggs. So if someone wants an egg, they can make an egg.
I know. So Michael, he was like, I'm throwing this out there. I think I'm going to do dry January. And I said, oh, are you really? And he said, yeah.
The Halfways are having a party.
Well, I said, so what about tomorrow? He goes, well, what's with tomorrow? I said, tomorrow's January 1st. And he goes, well, maybe dry like January 2nd on.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Yes. Like,
love that for us.
Yeah. Cause I told him, because we were talking about coming, and I said something about him getting drunk or drinking tomorrow or for New Year's Day. And he was like, that's not true. And I said, oh, yes, it is. like, don't even try and act like you're not going to.
I mean, there's the mimosa bar. We'll have the enchilada station. We have a Bailey's and coffee bar.
Well, and we're going to meet with my old landlord at Richardson's before we come to you.
Awesome. And so you'll be a little saucy.
I won't. He will. Yeah. Someone has to take care of a baby.
Yes. Can we talk about your mom?
Sure.
How's her boobies?
I know. Well, that's what fucked us up today too. So
I was surprised, and I was surprised you got your chesticles done when you can't pick up anything over what?
I don't even
like
know.
10 pounds or something.
Yeah,
I guess the baby's
because I was reading her
small.
protocol was like no lifting overhead for like 6 weeks or something like that. And I was like, well, thank God she's not like lifting with me right now.
Well, the baby, that's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, she's fine. She just sits on the rocking chair with the baby and they just play and cuddle with each other.
Grandmas.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, she got a boob lift. And
Mm.
so she had that. I was
That's
like,
without an implant, right?
Without the implants. Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah. She wants a boob. She got a boob lift. And so, you know, what sucks about it is because the surgery wasn't until noon or the check-in wasn't. And so you can't eat or drink. So I was like, well, that fucking sucks.
That sucks.
And then
my hysterectomy was at like 6 a.m. I was like,
yeah, that's what, like, I'll take a very early surgery over a later one any day.
Yeah.
So then she texted me at like 5 yesterday and I was like, I'm surprised you're like, she's like, I'm just a little stoned. It's fine. I'm like, okay. And then that's when my dad was like, we have to take her tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the follow-up. And I was like, fuck. Okay. So she should be okay. I think, I hope, you know, just with uplifty tits for 2025, you know.
We love that for you. Yeah. And I will be right there with you hopefully this year with I think it's because I bench press a lot. My boobs are just like
I know. Well, and so it's funny.
And I didn't have a baby.
I finally figured out the portable or the wearable pump too. So that way when I come over, I don't have like these cords and whatnot. Anyway, so like I put them in and it makes my boobs huge, obviously, because it's like this suction-y thing.
Yeah.
On them. And so I'm like, well, this is what it would look like with a boob job. And then I'm like, this is, yeah. And then I'm like, this is too much. Like for between the butt and the thighs and the boobs, I'm like, it doesn't balance well for my body.
Yeah. I like smaller boobs. I just want mine to stay higher.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be able to wear something that I don't wear a lot of low cut things just simply because I don't know. I don't love cleavage personally, really? But I like
on you or just in general?
On me. I like a kind of flatter, perky small boob, and that's what I want. Yeah, with a little cleavage, because sometimes I've always been in the camp of show off one part of your body, right? Okay. So if your legs are being exposed, we're not doing the tits and the stomach. If your stomach's being exposed, we're not doing the legs or the tits. Like it's just been, I don't remember where I heard that when I was like a teenager and it just kind of stuck with me.
That's interesting. So, I've never heard that.
Yeah. There's something. I spoke to the dog whisperer.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You didn't text me this.
Yeah. So, well, first and foremost, like I wanted it to be this miraculous thing. It was not, but it was for Mark.
Oh.
So on our episode on Saturday, I talked about how Brooklyn loved Mark more than me, that she was his shadow.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, he sat at her feet or she sat at his feet when he worked. Every time he got up, she'd follow him around. For me, she'd come and say hi to me in the mornings. And then if we were ever together in a room, she was in between us. And even in the closet. We have a walk-in closet, and it's not a large walk-in closet. It's like a standard size walk-in closet. And she would stand in the middle of us while we're in this small space. And so the lady basically asked for a picture of each dog and connected to the dog. And she then said, what questions do you have? And I said, well, does she come to visit us? And she goes, well, she wants you to know she's always there. She goes, but it's weird. It seems like it's kind of awkward and kind of annoying where she is. I'm like, yep. Like we literally would ask her when she was alive, like, that's where you're standing. Like, cause she would just like, she'd stand in front of the shower when you're in the shower.
Right.
So you're trying to get out of the shower and she's just like standing there.
Well, hang on. Did you give this lady any context about the dog? Okay. So you just
she's passed. She was 15.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, it was kind of annoying when she was alive, what she's still doing now. And I'm like, yep, she was always. So we bought that Freak Athlete thing, right? And like, so for you guys don't know, Freak Athlete, we bought the Hyper Pro. We got it on Facebook Marketplace. I'll talk about that in a sec, because that was like so freaking like I manifested that shit. Anyways, normally if she was alive and we were bringing this big piece of equipment, whatever it is, she would be walking behind you in the way.
Right.
Like every single, you got groceries, you got something where you can't see your feet. This bitch is right in front of you. Like she just wanted to be near you. It wasn't like her being annoying, but like it was slightly annoying. And so I laughed when she said that. And then she goes, it's interesting because you rescued her. And I'm like, yes. She goes, but once she met Mark, she instantly loved him. Oh. It was a complete circle for her. And she put Mark above you.
Oh.
And I was like, what?
Fuck you.
You.
Done mourning.
Not eating, not sleeping, crying every day. And you love Mark more than me? Bitch.
So that's interesting that she was able to like channel all of that. See, that's where I'm like, see, this stuff is real.
It's
like,
real. You want to hear the crazy, like scary part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Duh.
So I go, well, who was there when she crossed over? She goes, well, there's always like spirits that help you cross over, but I'm getting grandpa. And I was like, I'm not close to my grandfathers. Mark was, so maybe it was his. But I was worried that she was giving me a sign about my dad.
That's what I thought immediously.
Yeah, that like she's gonna be there when he crosses over, which I was like, no, I get it. Okay, listen, universe. I know I'm a very strong gal, which we're gonna talk about in our episode today about what I've learned about myself this year, but give me a motherfucking second.
Yeah.
Give me a second. For those of you who don't know, my dad has stage 4 lung cancer. His cancer tumor started to grip his vena cava vein, which is not good. Yeah. But overall, he's doing okay. He's been doing treatment and chemo and stuff. So let's see. What else did she say? I asked her what her life was like before I adopted her. And she had said she was an object. She wasn't like a loved one because she was abused.
That's what I was like, oh my, as soon as you said that, I was like, man, I should send this lady's info to my mom for Lulu. Because Emily, the gal you talked to, Ryan's girlfriend, lover, whatever they are, she said that Lulu was probably abused because on her like x-rays there was signs of like bruised or broken ribs and whatnot.
Oh baby,
no. And I was like, oh. And then she also like the pancreatitis stuff usually is correlated with like a poor diet. So like she was, and then when they found her, she was like eating out of trash and stuff like that.
Oh,
I know. Yeah. I'm like, oh
yeah. She said, because I'd asked her what was up with the belts, and she said they would scare her with the belt. You know how you snap a belt like this? They would scare her with it. They didn't, which was better than what I thought. Yeah. You know, I thought they like hit her with it.
Yeah.
Because when my ex-boyfriend at the time would take off his belt, she would literally go into full-blown panic attack. So I, as a therapist, started to like do some exposure therapy where the belt would just be sitting and I'd be like petting her like a girl. Then I'd have the belt in my hand petting her. And then I'd start petting her with the belt. And it desensitized her to belts.
Wow. You're a pet therapist as well.
Apparently. So then she goes into Harlem.
Oh no.
And I just wanted to know like, you know, how she's feeling. And this was the big one that made me kind of sad because I totally did this. She goes, Harlem is feeling a lot of pressure to be up there like Brooklyn was. Like she's always been kind of second fiddle.
Yeah.
And I remember the Thursday after she was put down, all I wanted Harlem to do. So when Bricky, whenever I'd cry, she'd come up and like lick the tears off my face. And that's all I wanted Harlem to do. And I wanted her to like lay on me like Brooklyn would. And I was getting kind of angry at her, but it was also grief, you know? And I was like, I totally do that. I totally do that. And so she's like, you need to tell her that can be herself. And so it was good. It wasn't like, oh, you know, she told us that she will come to us in like colors, almost like colors, like coming through stained glass. So I think it'll probably be, you know, catching a glimpse of the sun through the windows in the front of our house or something like that. She goes, but she's there all the time. She's with you all the time.
Oh,
and I'm like, so we also got her ashes. It was very sweet. I was looking on Etsy for like a box that I could put her leash in or her collar and all the stuff that like was personalized. And the angel vet who we went through actually brought us a box that had her name on it.
That's nice.
I know. And a rose.
Good little company there.
Dude, I don't know how they do it, but they sent us a card like in between. So I'm feeling a lot better. I still cry. Like I cry more when I'm looking at Harlem because she looks so sad. And that makes me want to get another dog.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, that's too soon. And I'm like, I get it, but I have the space for a rescue to give them a good life. And my current animal is in mourning. Something cool happened this morning. So there's these 2 beagles. So my Harlem is a beagle mix. These 2 beagles I see on my walk. And for some reason today, their dad, who does not even live, he lives all the way around the mountain. Remember when I had you guys drive up that back part of the mountain? He lives over there. But he was on our street right when I walked out to walk her. And she lit up to see them.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, maybe that's a sign. And she told us like, it'll be about a month, but Bricky will help you find her and Harlem will be very happy. So I've been looking at shelters and I saw this. Oh, I might go see her. I started bawling. This 1-year-old boxer, and well, you're not going to guess her name. Her name is Her name is Barcelona, which is another city. Adrienne pointed that out. And she her little cute face reminded me of my girl, but we got to be selective because Harlem's not like energetic. You know?
Well, you could always join like on Facebook, a boxer rescue group too.
I'm on all of them.
Oh, okay. Good.
I'm on all the things. Every rescue, Maricopa County Pets, Humane Society. I might still go. So I was close to the pound, where I got Brooklyn, the one where Barcelona's at, I dropped off our local clients' Christmas presents or holiday presents. And I like went into the lane to turn and I was like, no. And I went the other way. I was like, you're not ready yet. Don't do it. So that's where I'm at.
Well, that's
What's
good.
up with you?
Not much. We did Christmas, right? And so that was kind of interesting because we had essentially like 3 days of Christmas or 3 meals over 3 days of Christmas. And so like the more my parents and then my half sister and her family were here. And so we went there. And then the next day it was everybody. And that was hard at first because what we did is like, I'll baby wear her. And then when she starts getting upset, because apparently you baby wear, so that way people don't like get all in her face and whatnot, but they can still see her.
Smart.
So once she started getting upset and it's time to feed, my parents have like a 2-story condo. So we went upstairs and like just being up there, like where everybody else is downstairs, it was very like, this isn't fun. And this is kind of isolating and lonely again, because one of the things, again, I'm mentally pretty okay, but like breastfeeding all day and just being at home, because my goal this coming week is to like just get out once, like even if it's just going to like Target or something and like it takes 3 hours because I have to sit in the back of the car and breastfeed with her, but it's like start getting out, because at first it was like just stand outside and get sun.
Do you want to come grocery shopping with me today?
I need a nap today because I do, but I can't because of last night. So it was like just very isolating up there. And so breastfeeding is kind of isolating as well, because you're just kind of always have to be available at some point.
Mhm.
You know, like we could bottle feed her, but there's the whole like her spit essentially sends a signal to my body to create what she needs.
So cool.
I know, so weird.
It's so cool to me. Like, our
So,
bodies are the best.
yeah, that's what Michael's like. That's how there's a creator. Like that's he's like, and I was because he was like saying when we first got home with her, he's like, "There's a creator," and I was like, why are you saying that again? Like, or now? And he goes, just like even how her spit like tells your body like what to do. Like, who thinks of that? You know? And I was like, oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was super isolating, and it just like wasn't fun after a while, and then so I started getting almost like irritable and not like crying upset, but just like I just wonder if I can go home because this is not like I'm just not comfortable anymore. And it's in my parents' house. So of course I'm comfortable. But
right.
So the next day was supposed to be pancakes at my uncle's house and everybody was going to be there too. And so Michael and I were like going back and forth. Do we do this? Do we not? Do we do it? And I was like, we either go and just like she's present with everybody and like nobody else holds her. It's like me, my mom, or my dad and him can hold her.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to like have her be in a room just hoping she's like sleeping in there and then we'd go feed her in there. I said, but if you're not comfortable with that, then we're not going because I'm not doing this again. And he's like, I mean, I don't care either way. I'm like, I think we should just do it because at some point we're going to have to get over like the fear of sickness and illness, you know, with a baby.
Yes.
And to keep kind of her away and isolated in here doesn't help either of us. Also learn like
immune system.
Or her immune system, but it also doesn't help us learn like the logistics of what you need to do to get a baby out of the house either.
Yeah.
And like what you need.
That's ultimately what the doula was going to help you with too, of like,
yes.
You need this, you need this, you need this.
Yes. And so, but now she's more so helping of like, okay, I'm going to go do stuff and you're going to stay here because I want to get out.
Yeah.
So we ended up going, which was good. And so we were like, okay, that was fine. And so then that's like with your party tomorrow, because Michael, we were talking about going and he's like, do we bring the baby? And I was like, Christina said we can. So yes. And I mean, I guess we could drop her off at my parents too, now that I think about it. But we're going to go see Robert and Robert wants to see her anyways. And so he's like, I guess we're just doing this. And I'm like, well, yeah, at this point, like, you know, if she gets sick, she's going to get sick at some point. It's just her immune system's not as great as an adult's, but what are we going to do? Like just stay inside all day? Because no.
Right. I will say for my house, Mark has been sick. He's been sick for since we were in Huntington. He started getting sick. Yeah. And my friend is on antibiotics, so she'll be fine. But she has bronchitis.
Did you guys like Huntington?
We did. Yeah. It was so good for our soul. Dude, we bought Harlem that stroller.
Your stroller?
Dude, it's the cutest thing because we can we wanted to watch football. And we wanted to like kind of explore. So we went to this like beachside little, actually, I think the place that you said looked like touristy, but had really good food. We went there. Was it on the backside of Wahoo or Dave's?
I don't know, but they all wear like Hawaiian shirts.
Oh, they were in Christmas stuff. So,
okay.
Anyways, they had the games on and we just put her in the stroller because she doesn't
Duke's
sit. Okay. This one was on the backside of Duke's.
Okay.
So she doesn't sit when she's on her leash, but because I think she's so far from us from like where, because a lot of the places we went to had high top tables. Yeah. So in her little stroller, she's closer. So she'll sit and she'll like relax. It was so cute. We got a little family photo. Yeah, we literally took her everywhere. And in Huntington, like not
everybody
just
has their
on
dog.
the patio.
Yeah.
Inside. She was allowed to come inside. It was great.
They're a big dog like area.
Yeah.
Apparently they're huge. Actually, I'd be very curious if any of our listeners live in that area so my cousin lives in about 30 minutes away from Huntington. And when we saw her last for the summer, they were saying that Huntington is like a huge like Trump rally place too.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, really? Like we've gone there several times and I haven't seen anything that would like, look like that.
Cool people. Dude, I met this chick. She was so sweet. She was like, can I pet your dog? I was like, of course. Then we started talking. I was like, I need to get her nails clipped because she doesn't let I need like an in-home groomer so I can hold her because she won't let them. But I'm just walking her as much as possible to like get her nails to file.
Yeah.
She goes, "Oh, I own this grooming shop down the road, whatever." And we start talking to her husband. I look at her ring. Okay, you guys,
you've got a fat ring.
I got a fat ring. Take this middle, like bigger than an almond.
Whoa. And
Mark was like, and the husband was like, "Yeah, I'm overcompensating for something." Like he joked about it.
Yeah.
And Mark and I were like, "Is that motherfucker real?" Because it had to be like $100,000 ring. It was, and they live in Huntington. She owns a grooming shop, so whatever he does, yeah, they were very sweet.
That's nice.
And, yeah, but I was like, damn, that thing was fat.
I'd be scared to wear it.
I know, seriously. I want to get myself a new middle diamond. I feel like this one's a little cloudy, but we're not there yet. Not there yet. I bought the Freak Athlete. So for those of you listening to this, you're now going to get 17,000 different advertisements for this Freak Athlete piece of equipment. So they call it the best at-home piece of equipment you can have. I don't
make that.
Yeah. I think adjustable dumbbells are just like a barbell and weights in a rack.
Yeah.
So the Freak Athlete Hyper Pro is 9 different exercises you can, so the one that we got has the leg extension, the leg curl, the GHD. So you can do Nordic hypers, reverse hypers, GHD sit-ups, GHD back extensions, like I said, leg extensions, leg curls, decline crunch or sit up. There's also a place for like Bulgarians and hip thrusts.
There's a lot.
So I've been looking at this piece of equipment for probably 4 or 5 months now, but it's expensive. It's after the fees with shipping and everything, it's about $1,700.
Wow.
And that's with all of the add-ons.
Yeah.
So I told Mark I wanted it. He's like, "Do you want it?" And then we got like this random check from our mortgage company for some shit. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, free money."
Yeah.
But then we're like, "Well, we're going to get a new air conditioning system. So we'll just put it towards that, being responsible."
I was looking at that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And so I'm out doing so I had to do Christmas shopping after Christmas because I was, in a body bag.
Right.
And he sends me this Facebook Marketplace link, and it's the whole system. And I'm like, "Oh." So I jump on. I'm like, "Is it still available? It's still available." The guy doesn't answer. And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, "Look, if this has been meant to be yours, it will be yours, right? You've kind of manifested this thing. You've looked at it. It's been in your cart. You've got the emails. Like, you're doing all the things. You almost bought it. If it's meant to be yours, be yours." The next morning, he texted me and he was like, "Still available." I'm like, "Perfect. Can I pick, does it come with the GHD?" Because that's what wasn't in the picture. He's like, "Yeah, you forgot to put in the pictures," which made it even more valuable to me. So we ended up getting it for more than half off, and it's brand fucking new. So
did he just not want to use it, or what's his deal?
He said he had it for about 6 months. He had a full garage gym.
Ooh,
but he was really getting into like the sauna and everything. So he just was like, "I'm just going to go to the gym," which I canceled my gym membership.
You did?
I canceled Mountainside. Yeah. I figured out, the things that I want to do, read more, do more of my spiritual practice, which we'll talk about in our episode. If I don't go to the gym, it frees up time to do that in the morning.
Right. Gives you about like essentially what? Because it takes you 10 minutes to get to the gym. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's 20 minutes right there.
Well, it actually longer because when I go to the gym, I actually try to look appropriate.
Yeah.
Whereas when I work out at home, I'm like sweatpants, hair is like up in a pineapple is what I call it. Yeah. So I literally like wake up, get some coffee.
Yeah.
I do brush my teeth and put my contacts in. And then I go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't do anything with my teeth dirty.
I get that.
Yeah, I'm like, I just can't do it. Anywho, let's move on. Let's talk about what we're leaving behind in 2024.
Okay, go. So we got exercise, nutrition, and mindset things.
Yes. I was thinking about this topic because I feel like we all need to look at the past year and think about what, obviously didn't not necessarily serve us, but what we've maybe matured from. Maybe it's things that revelations we've had that are keeping us stuck. Yeah. I think that's the biggest one for me. And then of course, through education, through your own kind of self-discovery, the things that you need to, decide, like, that is the version of me from the past 365 days, maybe more than that if we're not growing, we're dying. We're not learning, we're dying. I don't remember the saying.
Okay.
By the way, I couldn't read a word on my webinar yesterday. I was like, have you ever looked at a word and you're like, I don't know what that word is, but you're like, no, I know what that word is. It was so funny. Everyone's like, and then finally I got it. And in the comments they're like,
zucchini. I can never spell zucchini right. And I'm always like,
I couldn't read the word.
Oof.
Not spell it.
Embarrassing.
Read it. Yeah, I don't give a shit. So we always, if you're not learning, you're dying.
You're dying.
Right? Which is true. I mean, if you think about like a rose, flower bed or whatever, it's growing or evolving, right? So we want to always be evolving. And a part of that is deciding what we no longer need.
Yeah.
Right. And so I thought this would be, because we talk a lot about like what to bring in, what to add, what to do, the goals, this. It's like, but what about what we need to get rid of? And so I think the biggest one for me, I'd like to start with the mindset, because I feel like the exercise and nutrition is probably, people can probably, decide what we're going to say, but maybe not, is I want to stop reacting to my business out of fear.
That would, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I support that.
There's two parts to this. There's stop reacting from fear, because, and I don't think the decisions I made were necessarily bad. They were costly, but I've, brought people on to help us. I've spent probably almost $10,000 on this goal of getting a stronger following on social media. Mm-hmm. And I probably increased over the year 250 followers, which I'm very grateful for those 250 followers. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But was it worth $10,000?
Well, not even the $10,000, but your time of like recording all of that shit too.
Yeah. Recording. I had a lot of anxiety from one of the people I worked with, because it was constantly like, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I'm like, whoa, And so what I plan on doing instead is really just continuing the message. Like continuing the message in whatever way we need to. Now, there are people I follow that help like kind of guide my thinking, right? So a couple of the reels I'm going to film today are renditions of something I saw from someone who has it's mostly therapeutic people. So then I take that reminder of that message and then put it towards our message or like, reconfigure it. And so, but my goal, instead of fear, I do need to ask for help, but I feel like when it comes to social media, because you guys have heard me talk about this the entire year, I need to just let go and focus on what we do best. And whether that's me sitting in my pajamas talking to you or doing this elaborate, skit, the focus needs to be on what's in our brains and in our hearts and putting that message forward, because eventually it will come through. I think what I realized is our message is not going to be a viral message.
No.
Until it is. I mean, one day will be, but like, it's not sexy.
Correct.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
The other thing, this is going to sound really like bouge. I don't need to dumb this shit down, because the clients that we work with will fucking get it.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to like dumb it down, because all of these people are like, you need to dumb it down. You need to dumb it down. No, I don't need to speak so clinically.
No, but that's also part of why, like when you're talking sometimes on the podcast, I'm like, wait, what does that mean?
Right.
But most of the time we're following you.
Yeah. I'm trying, because of fear of like, my fear is always the ship's going to sink. I personally am going to remove that barrier, because that thought in my brain of this is going to fail, the ship's going to sink, everyone else is doing better than you. That is a barrier to what I want.
Right.
I want to help as many people as we possibly can. That includes this podcast, that includes our Facebook group, that includes our programs, right? Mm-hmm. Includes social media. So what that looks like is not just people paying us. Yes, would I like to be on a fucking yacht in 2 years with you and everyone and be like, yeah, popping bottles? Of course. I would love that. And I should say, there's also all this free content. So, that if that's my goal, then I have to rid myself in 2025 of the thought barriers that keep me from that goal.
So well, yeah, because if you always do and that would apply to anybody, but if you're always doing something, so actually, let me put it this way. Sorry, I'm now thinking it's like the client who thinks they're going to fail anyway, so why do it? And it's like, it's not as blunt as yours is, but it's essentially like, I'm going to fail if I don't keep doing these things, but I'm going to fail anyways. And so you're putting that out there, and it's like, well, you just failed then. Like, you didn't make any progress in the sense of trying something and letting it go and going, okay, that I looked at that. Now, how can I build on that kind of strategy that didn't necessarily work as well as I thought of? Whereas you're thinking of more of like, that strategy didn't fucking work. Now I need to pivot. Yeah. And now I need to do something else.
I basically was doing what our clients have done.
Correct.
Historically. Yeah. Of that didn't work. Let me find the next coach thing, instead of like looking at why that didn't work. And then making tweaks to why that didn't work, and those small little changes. And
or even not saying that it didn't work, but that, it didn't come to my expectations. So do I need to change the expectations, or do I change like what I learned from this and then build on it too?
Yeah. Another thing that I heard was like, the universe gives you the same struggle over and over again. Yes. And your response to it needs to change in order for it to like come to you. And I was like, and I thought about that in a lot of different ways, which I'll talk about more of my letting things I want to let go of. But I was like, oh, that's funny. Because it literally, and what I've been doing is trying to find the person to like save me.
Solve your problem.
Yeah, I got to save myself.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like, you'll hear, like, thinking of reincarnation of it too, right? So like, this life, what can you learn from this life? And then what do you need to work on for the next life? And so that's essentially what you're talking about here. Just
by the way, the lady said that Berkey will reincarnate, but she doesn't know she's going to reincarnate to me. I was like,
okay.
This bitch.
Like, I guess I didn't have a dog.
Yeah. Really helped me.
5 days of my life bawling and not able to do anything with my life. And here I am.
10 days. Well, it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow.
Oh.
What would you say is one of your mindset shifts or sheds that you were shedding in 2024, leaving behind?
So this is actually kind of ironic given last night. So last night was like just a rough night. And not because the Olivia was bad. It was just like her sleeping. She'd just wake up, or kind of she falls asleep, takes a cat nap, and wakes up. And so if you're doing that for like 2 hours, I'm not sleeping at all.
Right.
So, and I'm trying to really trying to get her to sleep in the bassinet. As opposed to, because it's very easy for me to be like, oh, fuck this, I'm just going to put her in bed with me. But when I put her in bed with me, I either get worse sleep or I get really good sleep, but I don't know which it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so it's one of the things of like, I rather just work on the bassinet, and the bassinet's like literally right next to the bed. So anyway, last night when I'm doing this, I'm telling myself like, it's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be so structured, right? Because I come from a place of, I love structure. Everything comes on a time. Everything is to the T. Everything has a schedule to it, or like everything has a place too. And I'm learning with her, that's not possible, right? So like we have
Yeah.
a structure of we podcast on X days, I'm going to go back to work on these days, but the rest of it, it's really hard to say like, oh, I'll be available at this time because I might not be when I was
Mhm.
expecting to be. And so I'm trying to just let that thought go because I tend to get very anxious if there's not structure and a schedule.
Yeah.
And then that emotion's not fun to deal with for my partner. Um, who
Or her.
or her. And I don't want to make her
Oh,
like,
hold on.
oh, I was like, your we fall out.
Nope. Just trying to fix it. Okay, go ahead.
um, so there's that. And then even too is like trying to be present with her because it's very easy to, because no offense, but babies are pretty boring, right? Like
Mhm.
you sit around, you feed, they kind of look at you, they fall asleep, and then the next thing happens. So it's one of the things of I don't want to miss what's happening with her developmentally because she's growing so much.
Mhm.
And I don't want to be distracted like by my phone and she's trying to like engage with me or something like that. And now she's 6 weeks old, so she's not like seriously engaging with me, but I don't
Mhm.
want to always be looking away and create that pattern and that habit because I
Mhm.
find it so easy to do. It's like when you're watching TV, but you're on your phone. And it's like, well, am I on my phone or am I watching TV?
Yeah.
Because I need to do one or the other. And it's okay, but like turn off the TV or put down your phone.
Yeah.
And that's like what I feel like think I try and remind myself with her of like, am I playing with her and like engaging with her or am I on my phone doing stuff? Because if I'm on my phone doing stuff, I need to put her down because it's
Yes.
not fair to like be distracted and, sending her that signal. I don't know if it's actually here. Is it sending her that signal that I like don't care? Not that I don't care about what she's thinking, but that I'm not connecting to her if I'm looking at something else?
So when she's trying to engage,
Yeah.
right, that's where attachment is
Okay.
created, right?
There we go.
Where she's looking at you, you're there, you're
Yep.
safe, I see you, hold space for you.
Okay.
When the phone is
It's a
there's not a lot of
bitch.
research on it, but I mean, if it was another partner, if it was a work situation, if it was partying, drinking, whatever, I mean, it's still this thing that's distracting you from
Mhm.
attaching to your child.
Okay.
So if we replace that with something more dramatic,
Mhm.
that's how these insecure attachments are created. She wants to look now. There's a healthy bit of separation though too, but that's going to be when you go out and go to Target,
Right.
when you do the things, right? But when you're present with her, she wants to feel safe and secure,
Okay.
right? And that's ultimately what creates healthy children.
Okay. Well, there you go. So yeah, I don't
And
that's what
again,
I'm like trying to
we do
be.
that 100% of the time. So,
Well, correct. Like it's not going to happen 100% of the time, but I don't want it like to, where it starts a little bit, like going back to you, like the fear started somewhere and then it grew and then it grew and grew and grew. And now it applies to different areas where I don't want that to happen with her either. So I'm trying to be mindful of that.
yeah.
But it's very easy to be like, well, this is boring. I'm going to just like scroll on my phone real quick and like at night I try to if like a 2 a.m. feeding, I'm not on my phone. I'm just kind of
Mhm.
sitting there with her instead of like
Yeah.
looking at whatever I could be Reddit. So
Do
yeah,
your
I'm
favorite.
trying to let go of my rigidity. And I think it's safe to say that I will always probably be a more rigid person at this point in my life. But can I soften the edges of it?
Yeah.
Especially with having kids. And especially, if we have a second kid, like that's going to be even more chaotic. And so
Mhm.
if I can learn it with her or at least practice it with her, I can keep growing with number 2, 3, or whatever happens.
Yeah. No, I think that's super important and healthy. And I mean, for me, one of the things I want to get rid myself of is the stuff I've turned to dissociate,
Mhm.
right? And I've made a lot of progress in that area, but social media is one of them,
Yeah.
right? And your situation is a bit different because you're just, kind of sitting and creating a calm space for her. So you're wanting to keep your mind busy. And as someone who is an overachiever, it's hard to just be, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I feel this pull towards social media, right? And like my brain instantly wants to hit that button and see what's happening. And I'm like, this is not healthy, right? So when I was younger, I used to be that way towards alcohol, where it was like, I need a drink. I want a drink. We're going to go out tonight. I would drink multiple times a week. And it wasn't just, I mean, we would have like big beers and like my girlfriend Crystal would stop by and we'd do a shot. And like, it was just, that pool. There's been other things in my life that have had more of that. I need this thing, like that pull. And so I want to continue even alcohol too, which we'll talk about in our alcohol episode. I've found some really cool, like non-alcoholic beers that taste like beer.
Yeah.
And like my brain is like, oh, I'm having a drink.
That's like me with the soda water and lime, like, because I do tequila, soda, and lime. Right. But then it was like, once I did a sober October, that was a big game changer. And then I realized like, oh, I like the crispness of the soda and the lime. I can have that without tequila and solve a lot of my problems
and feel fine.
Yeah.
And I was, a part of that comment that I made of like, the universe is giving you these challenges and you have to show up in different ways. The struggles that I've had with, we'll call it, I don't want to call it addiction, but vices. Yeah. Cause I definitely have control, and there's times where I'm like, I don't want that thing, but it comes back to like always wanting to be the person that I'm serving. Right. And not being this like hypocrite. And I was like, well, as a person that I'm serving someone who is like, sober, I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think that's necessarily, I do have clients that are sober, but like the person I'm serving is balanced. And so one of the things that I want to rid myself of is anything that is pulling me in I want to say extreme ways, because I've done so much work on this, but like, I know there's more work to be done, but pulling me feeling extreme, right? If I ever wake up and I feel like shit because of drinking, like that's extreme to me, even if it's one day a week, right? Or the month, that's still extreme to me in my head. And that's not necessarily the person I want to serve. And I never want to be seen out and about, whether, maybe it's my birthday or something. Like there's always going to be, outliers or reasons why you are, wilding out. Social media, alcohol, I want to be so much more balanced.
Yeah.
And being the example to the community that I serve.
Okay. So would you say that's more of going to work into your nutrition too? Because sometimes you do like, I'm going to go and cut, and then you don't, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to bulk. And then you're like, never mind. I feel like most of the time you always go back to maintenance, because it just continues to work for you. Like you'll see something, and I do this too. I think why I asked that, and I don't mean to like put the spotlight on you. I think if I hadn't been pregnant this last year, I would have done the same things and said the same things. But since I was pregnant, I didn't have the opportunity to do that. And I think now this year, now that I'm not pregnant, I have the opportunity to be like, okay, I'm going to go into a cut, right? And like shed the excess weight that I gained during pregnancy. And that was one of the reasons why I hired Jenny, the nutrition coach for me and you, is because I always felt like I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to do that. And then I would be like, no, I know I shouldn't, like it was almost too much in my brain. And so this year, what I'm trying to do nutrition wise is be like, okay, we're just going to kind of like hang out and write it out, which is going to be so hard and uncomfortable. And I don't know, like, I'll probably hire Jenny again just to kind of be like, I'm going to do what she says and keep going, that way I don't have to do it for myself so much. But, that's one thing that I'm trying to work on too. Cause even like, so this past month and a half, I didn't really track calories, obviously, cause it was just, I didn't have the like time or the mental capacity. Just now this week I started tracking again just to see where I'm at. I don't know if I'm going to continue to, but I'm like, where am I? I don't like, am I at a relatively where I was, or am I, at 2,700? Am I at 3,000? Am I at like 1,900? So I'm just trying to see like where I'm at without making an action about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I know for me, and this goes, I guess we just kind of bounce around between the three segments, like nutrition, exercise, and mindset. Like for me, I'm more focused on my training.
Oh.
And getting stronger rather than smaller. I'm fortunate. I have built a body that is naturally muscular.
Yeah.
I have been muscular. I've talked to you guys about it. It was something that I actually hated up until I was like 35. I hated my like broad shoulders, my shoulder, like the definition in my upper body. And now I'm finally accepting of it. And now I'm like, let's see what this fucking body can do. And so with that comes feeding it correctly. And also feeding it in a way that supports hormonal health, right? I talked about Mediterranean diet and just having more, healthy fats in my diet. So for me, it's not necessary, like in building strength, will there be bouts of like mini cuts?
Yes.
Sure. Right. I will talk on our next episode about my fucking DEXA scan.
I got to talk about Mormon wives.
Oh, yay. Okay. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
And so if the focus in 2025, because the focus in 2024 wasn't necessarily be smaller. I did cut the beginning of the year, and then I cut again on our trip because I knew I wouldn't be like socializing.
Right.
Because I was traveling.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm staying relatively the same weight. The lowest weight I've been is 147, and that was last week because I was starving and not on purpose. So I've come to terms this year. So this is something that I've gained, but also will leave, is like your weight's relatively going to stay the same. So why don't we create a body that is just strong as fuck? And you can eat more to stay relatively the same weight, and you're really setting your body up for a very healthy place as you get into your mid 40s, right? So to answer your question, yes, like stop like ping ponging between, because sometimes I'm like, oh, and I'm going to explain to the audience of like, when I was thinking about that mini cut, I was like, well, I don't have a lot going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the timing worked out.
Yeah. And that's why like it was enticing. But then I really, after we literally did I did it in the episode, I was like, you know what? I don't have a strong why for this. Back in the day, I also think too, like, because back in the day when I would cut, it was so dramatic and so intense and restrictive that now I'm like, do I want to do that to myself? Like, I look great for 41. Like, I was walking the other day and I got some cat calls.
Oh, did you? That's nice.
I don't love cat calls, but I was like,
no, me either. But also it's kind of like, well, all right. But then I'm like, do they do that to everybody though?
Yeah. It's like, you're beautiful. I was like, thank you. But I, in 2025, it is being stronger, no longer smaller, no longer thinner. Like, if I can maintain this body for the rest of my life, I'll be fucking happy.
Yeah.
And I mean, but what I mean by that is obviously my aesthetic will change.
Right.
Like if I can be strong and lift and run, I like to sprint, I'll be happy.
That's good. How is your foot actually?
So I was supposed to get an x-ray and then my whole dog thing happened. So they needed me to get an x-ray. I bought these really cute shoes in Huntington. These little.
Oh, I want a pair of those.
Now.
Are those
everyone
rainbows?
Listening? These are rainbows instead of Uggs. Look at the bottom. It's rainbows.
Yeah.
Bottom, rainbow sandals. My husband has rainbow sandals still to this day from his freshman year of college.
Yeah.
He's 40. He'll be 45.
Yeah. I used to wear rainbows all the time.
Rainbows.
Those look great. I'm going to look that up right now.
Comfy. Yeah. So like when it's still fucked, but I want to sprint. I want to be able to run if I need to.
Yeah.
So that's one of mine. What about training or like that aspect of things for you?
Gosh, it's so hard right now.
I want you guys to know, like, usually we have like a list of things we're going to talk about and we're literally going off the cuff. So hope you enjoy.
Riffing. It's really hard. So I'm putting myself in a intentional deload week this week because I need to make sure that I actually am feeling okay to lift.
Good.
And I know I'm like, so I finished the phase 1 of my programming and I was like, I need to do a deload. I'm not doing a high volume where I need a deload actually. And I usually never take a deload during like a programming set. I do it in between programs. But I was like, I need to actually check in with myself and make sure like I feel okay because I'm not so sure I'm listening to my body right now. I know. And so I'm like, all right, like we're just going to do mobility. I can't go for walks because it still hurts my pelvis and whatnot and my pelvic floor. So I would go and then I'd be like, it's fine. And then like throughout the night as I get up for her, because like using abs to like sit up in bed and whatnot, I'd be like, oh, ow, like my pelvic floor does not feel good. So I'm like, okay, that's my whole, like what you learned from surgery is not manifesting right now. And so what the fuck am I doing? Because I use that a lot with clients of like, look, this is the hardest thing that you could do right now. The easy thing would be for you to go, like the easy thing for me to do right now would be to still go and work out and like go heavy and kind of like look at what I was doing and gauge off of what I am doing today off of what I was doing. That would be really easy.
Which I think you would have done earlier this year.
Oh yeah.
Or you're pregnant, you know?
So I'm trying not to do that. And so what that means is I have to make challenges for myself. And some people may not recognize this. Some people may recognize this within themselves that it is so hard for me to not be lifting heavy. And it's very hard for me to say, I need to like actually check in with myself and make sure this is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
So for strength training, I'm trying to just do it consistently because it does feel good. But I'm also trying to make that reconnection because I did very well with pregnancy, but I think I used pregnancy as a excuse for it and not a reason. If I'm being honest now and like looking back of like, I definitely did what I would recommend for somebody else during pregnancy.
Right.
But it wasn't because I would have applied that to myself. It was like a reason. I don't know how to explain that. The reason I did it was
there was an expectation that you
there's an expectation that I should do it because I'm a trainer who focuses on prenatal and postpartum. There's an expectation that I should do it because I'm preaching it. So I don't want to be a hypocrite. And then there's an expectation that I want to hold up like higher standards, that I'm not different to these like providers that refer to us too.
Right.
Right.
Well, and it's almost like also look at what I can do.
Correct.
So you can do it too.
Yes.
You know,
which is
I get
good and bad. Yeah, good and bad. Because it's definitely like I can do this, you can too. But it was definitely like, look what I can do.
Yeah.
But also some of that look what I can do is coming from similar to you of like years of lifting and putting my body through tough things. That it's like, well, yeah, look what I can fucking do because of all this experience and because I've stayed consistent.
Yeah. I love that. So in 2025, what is the new, what are we leaving in 2024? What are we bringing in 2025?
2025 is to really just still try and focus on the rehab because it's going to take a bit. Because even like today, something's up, like my pelvis just doesn't feel right. And I don't know, maybe that's because of like poor sleep, right? Because and then at the end of the night, I'm in weird positions. I'm getting up and then, or I'm walking around on the tile. Or maybe I did too much yesterday for my mobility, like that, all of that. Like it's really to go back to, I would say like 2019, Amanda, and just be okay with the less and be okay with like breathing through it and whatnot. Because even I noticed one of my old kind of problems, it was creeping up. So I scheduled with Austin, actually, because his wife she had a baby too. So I scheduled with him. And so I'm like, okay, well, like, what the fuck? Like, am I going to start doing this again where I start going back to providers to solve my issue when I already know what to do? And so I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. So in 2025, it's more so still focusing on the rehab and going slow, and not so much of like, can I push it? You know, like that question. It's more so of, do I need to push it and change the narrative in my mind of what I'm asking myself as I'm going through lifting.
Well, it sounds like listening to your body.
Yeah. Yeah. Which,
so we're leaving behind kind of
ignoring
the expectations.
Yes, there we go.
That you have, and going into what do I actually need and bringing that into.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, it's funny you say that, and this is just off topic. Well, kind of. I didn't train for almost 2 weeks. So I did this 15-minute or like a 25-minute workout Monday and Tuesday. Bricky went down Wednesday. And so I didn't train again until yesterday. And that was almost 2 weeks. And I did new programming, and I did focus on lightweight because I knew, like, I haven't worked out in 2 weeks.
Right.
My legs hurt so bad today. So bad. I was like, oh my God, like, this is 2 weeks. Like,
I know.
So if you are listening to this and you're starting a new program in 2025, hopefully ours, go light, baby. Just listen to your body.
That's it. Like when I did deadlifts with the dumbbells, like for the first time going back into working out this, like, 3 weeks ago, I was like, holy fuck, I'm sore. And I was like, what the fuck, from dumbbell deadlifts? Okay. Like, all right.
That's funny. One of the other ones, you know, this is more mindset, but even spiritual. And I said, I'd talk about this, that I've really pulled away from my spiritual practice. Like, we talked about it a lot. We talked about how beneficial it has been. And I'm like sitting here talking about it, and I'm like, well, where's your practice at? You know? And that's what I love about this podcast is, like, we literally will talk about something that we've done, and then you kind of take this inventory and you're like, but are you still doing it?
Correct.
It was so positive for you. Where does that fit in? And that's where kind of like canceling the gym membership, working at home, taking that extra time to meditate, journal. I joined this 21-day manifesting like challenge from Gabby Bernstein. I love all of her books. She's big on like manifestation and all that stuff. And, you know, it's interesting because with my dad and with Brooklyn, you know, my higher power has shown me that how strong I am. And that, because I believe, you guys, is that, you know, these 2 punches in the face that I received in the past 3 months, I received them because I could take them, you know? And that's for everyone out there. If it's happening to you, it's because you are strong enough to fucking handle it. It doesn't feel like that in the moment, but it wouldn't be happening to you if it was not. And I have a situation, I don't think I've ever talked about it on here, where I had someone reach out to me. My mom was going, have I told you a story about my mom had surgery that day, and this individual I went to grade school with reached out to me on Facebook?
It doesn't sound familiar.
Okay. I promise this makes sense for what we're talking about. My mom was having surgery. My mom had thyroid cancer, so they removed her thyroid. I'm taking care of her. I'm like, you know, drop her off. My aunt stays during the surgery. I go do a few things, come back, get her, stay with her overnight. And I see this Facebook message come through, and I like clicked on it, and I saw it was a long message. So I was like, I'll read that later. I never read it. And then 2 months later, I'm seeing Facebook messages that this individual took their life. I went back to read the message that day, and it was this individual reaching out to me because of their struggles internally.
Oh, fuck.
And so immediately I feel guilt, shame. Oh my God, this is my calling in life to help people through these things, all of this stuff. Right. And, compare that to with my dad in Brooklyn. It's like, why is this happening? Like, I can't handle this. Right. So the situation with the man that I didn't look at, I truly believe I didn't read those messages because I could not handle it.
Yeah.
Something out there was like, this isn't for you. This isn't for you. You don't know what's going to happen on the other side of this. You don't get to see this.
Right.
Whereas with my dad in Brooklyn is like, you can handle this. It's going to be fucking hard, but you will get on the other side of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so these two things, putting them into perspective and kind of, I guess it's not necessarily leaving these things in 2024, but like these, like taking with me the lessons I've learned, right? And reconnecting to that spiritual practice, because I was kind of in 2024 loosely connected and I felt lost in a lot of ways, but then also had these lessons happen that then can allow me to go into 2025 feeling more empowered, feeling like, I have a guide, I have backing, I've got a way. And so, kind of leaving back this disconnected, lost state and taking the lessons I've learned to go into 2025 more spiritually connected.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Didn't think that was coming out today.
No, I was like, oh, fuck, plot twist.
I mean, but is it? I mean, it goes with everything.
No, it's true. I mean, because I'm thinking, okay, like for me, I don't know if this is more spiritually or mentally or mindset, is going into 2025 again, like just letting it be, right? And stop trying to control.
Yes.
And yeah. And like kind of reprioritizing, right?
I have something for you.
Okay. What do you have? So like reprioritizing, because my thing was similar to you of like the overachieving, and like there's almost like a fun part of trying something, right? So like for the YouTube right now, I'm not as on top of YouTube anymore because we got it to a point of like where it's all clean and good and it's doing its thing and generating, and there's still people subscribing and whatnot. Like I don't need to be like on there doing like hacking it anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So almost like thinking of what are my priorities moving forward, of do I have the time and space for certain things? And if the answer is no, like I need to be okay with that, because I can't, again, that's like what everybody's like, well, what are you going to do, with trading when the baby comes? And it was like, I don't know, I can't even think about that right now because I was pregnant. And so now it's like, okay, what does that look like to me? Mm-hmm. And how much can I like hold for other people when I am irritable myself, tired, hungry, cranky, and Michael and I are fighting or something like that because the baby's screaming. Like I cannot take on somebody else's emotions and try and help them through that right now because I don't have it in me to give it to them. And that's not fair for them too, because it's not their fault I feel this way. So like really thinking of, because I think in the past I would have been like, yes, I'll do it. Yep. Whereas now I'm like, I've got to make sure that one, I'm taking like your hierarchy that you always talk about, that I'm taking care of. And then 2, that Michael and I are taking care of. And then 3, the baby included in there.
Yes, absolutely.
Because she'll be fine. I mean, she's very portable, or she's not very portable, but she's very portable, like she's not portable outside of the house, but within our schedule and whatnot, like we're like flexible, like, and I guess, him working from home helps, but also I can't expect him to take care of a baby when he's working. Right. And so it's finding out like solutions. Like today, thankfully it's a easier day because of the holiday for him. So, but I mean, he's still working. And so it's more so of, I have to be more aware of like not taking on more than I should.
And not trying to control.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. on the 1st, tomorrow, I'm actually I created a post on this topic, like things
Uh-huh.
I'm leaving in 2024. And one of them is white knuckling my way to success. This year,
See.
I'll keep my energy high by surrendering and letting go. And the reason why I thought of this is this quote that I'm going to send you. This year taught me that the power of surrender is much greater than the power of control.
Yeah.
Never force or fight the flow.
Yep. See, and I like to force and fight it.
Yeah. And so I love that for both of us. And we have to
Woo-hoo.
check each other.
You know, shit.
We can't. Well, and I honestly believe, I know this is becoming a very long podcast. I honestly believe in what we do.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no reason to force it.
Correct.
Like I was listening to the episode with Laura and I'm like, God, these fucking people are so amazing. And like how you guys talk to each other and your stories and like the banter, like I was so proud. And I'm like, why are you trying to like, force, like there's no reason to force it.
Mhm.
Like it's so serendipitous / like flow / all of the words. And it works. And like, we don't need to fix it. We don't need to force it. And
No.
so I know that surrender. So we let go of control and white knuckling, as I wrote on here. And we bring in surrender. You got to surrender, baby. Her face, if you guys aren't watching this, it's like, no, I will surrender.
It like makes me want to cry. Like I'm not going to cry, but it makes me want to cry.
Cry.
But I mean, obviously it'll be okay. But it's just like, fuck. Okay, it's just because it's so hard.
Yeah, it is. Surrendering means that you are imperfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that you are accepting of that, and that there is something higher than you that will always be there to guide you. And you just have to have faith in that thing rather than putting that into yourself. And I talked about this on the webinar yesterday. A lot of people put themselves in this God place of perfectionism. Like they are their God because they only focus on yes, it's me. Hi.
Hello.
Because they look at themselves like, I will do it. It's me. Yeah. I'm the only one who can do this and that's just again why I want to bring myself back into my spiritual practice. And don't worry, y'all. I'm not going to get like other people that are like shoving that shit down your throat. My practice is not, I do follow a church on YouTube. And the reason I follow this church, they're in Florida. My client, Amy, turned me on to them. They're like easy to digest. I like the what is it called? The sermon. That's not what it's called, but like the speech. I don't love the singing and I just want to hear the message. Right. So I get to fast forward through all that stuff. So don't worry about that. Let's see. Last one for me is unfortunately putting work above everything else.
Yeah.
Especially my relationship. When I think I told you guys, Mark said, it hurts his feelings when he's putting dinner on the table and I'm just like still sitting there typing away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes with the forced part of it. It's like, there's always going to be something to do.
Right.
But like, I love my marriage. I love my husband and I don't, nothing else should come between that other than me, but he treats me really well. So like, that's taken care of. Right. So like, that's going to be leaving this kind of work above. And there wasn't a mindset around that. It just, again, it's that overachiever. It's that grinder. It's that white knuckler, the pusher, the controller that says, no, like connect. So like this morning, like I just sat next to him and like hugged him and it was like, Happy New Year. This year, last 3 months was terrible, but the year at all, like we just like had this like conversation. Another thing I want to do with him is like set some goals for us too. So
I remember you guys were going to do
more
like,
love.
hang on. I want to bring something back way, way old school that I told you need to do is you and him were going to do like, I think you guys were going camping or you guys were going on a trip or something. And you guys were going to do like relationship, like goals, but looking back of what worked, almost like a business meeting for the relationship. And I was like, you need to make a guide for that, for like the
Yes.
The what's it called clients, the other ones, not the Mindset Matter.
Yeah.
Ignite Vision.
Yeah, I did that. I had a whole thing in 2020. It was called like Couples Retreat.
Yep.
And it was a whole thing that you did yourself. Anything else for you?
No, I've got enough there of don't have structure, listen to my body, don't try and control so much, and be more present with my family.
Yeah. I feel like, becoming stronger, not leading from a place of fear or creating barriers for what I want internally, being more spiritually connected, surrendering instead of controlling or pushing and white knuckling through, and being more connected with my family. So we'd love to hear from you guys. What are some things that you are keeping, leaving, shedding your skin of? So think of, a year isn't necessarily a metamorphosis, even though some insects do take a year to go through that process. But like your beautiful monarch butterflies take 28 to 32 days to go through the process of shedding, right? Their little caterpillar selves. And something I was watching the Aaron Rodgers documentary. He goes,
oh,
it was really good. We should talk about it next time. He goes, what's crazy is one day you're a caterpillar and then the next day you wake up, you have these beautiful wings and you're a butterfly. And like, that's so like, again, going back to like, this gotta be a creator, He's
well,
like,
Aaron Rodgers likes to do some drugs, FYI.
Oh no, it's the whole thing is about him doing drugs. And I was like,
is it?
I want to do ayahuasca now. Yes.
Oh, okay.
You want to do ayahuasca with me?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. I really do. I'm like, as long as I don't shit on myself.
Well,
anyway, and it was kind of like, and I loved it. It's like, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be a fucking butterfly, right? And so we need to figure out what is part of that shedding we need to leave behind, what we need to do to become our butterfly selves, whatever your, thing is. And we'd love for you to write down some of the things you want to leave behind in the comments below.
Yeah.
Please give us a follow on our YouTube channels. You can find all of them connected to the Mindset Mirror Connection YouTube page. Please give us a follow on Instagram, Mindset Matter Coaching, fitbyamanda.az. As we mentioned, we love for you to subscribe, follow, love, comment, give us a thumbs up, give us a review. Just do whatever you need to do. Loving the reviews we've had lately. And don't forget, we have our new group coaching program starting January 2025. We'll have a link in the show notes below for that. And if you want to just remember one thing from 2024 that you will bring into 2025, it is this.
What you say in the mind,
you see in the mirror.
Goodbye.
Peace.